Take a look at these. Last year I reviewed the Pavo20 Pro with the O3 and said it was a solid beginner's quad if you want to fly DJI. But after a lot more flying, and now that I have the latest version which has the O4 Pro, I think I might have been wrong. Before we get into the details, to be completely transparent, BetaFPV have sent both of these to me for free. They haven't paid me to do this video, they don't get to see the video before you do, and they don't get to tell me what to say or do in any of these videos. Long story short, I do love this quad, but I'm going to give you a few of the things that you need to be aware of that may not have been covered in other videos where they haven't flown it for as long as I have. So let's get into it. In my original review of the O3 version, I said it was great for DJI beginners, powerful enough for freestyle, but a little bit unpredictable, and one of the better sub 250 gram cinewhoops to fly. But here's the thing, unlike a lot of free quads that reviewers hype up and then never touch again, I've kept flying this. My O3 Air unit that I used to transfer between review quads, I've kept in there, and you can probably spot it in some of my other videos sitting over here in the background, fully intact and ready to go. Over time I've grown very fond of it. I even did my first cinematic experience with this quad last winter, and I've taken it on lots of trips with me all over Europe. And now there's this newer O4 Pro version. So what's new? Well, not a lot, but also a huge upgrade for this quad all at the same time. Let me explain. The only real upgrade to this is the O4 Pro camera and air unit, and honestly that is a huge upgrade for this type of quad because being a small cinewhoop, you can't really carry a GoPro on this, and the O3 quality was good, just not quite good enough to use for video production. Whereas the O4 Pro is really quite an upgrade even if it doesn't come through on this compressed tiny video that you're watching on YouTube right now. The new canopy to house the O4 Pro is also a huge upgrade. Better protection, much more refined design, looks good and just feels a lot tougher as well, but more on that later on in the video. One of the biggest changes BetaFPV made is not necessarily to do with the quad itself. The previous version you could only buy this without the camera and air unit, which you had to install yourself. You can now buy this with the O4 Pro pre-installed, which makes it a true plug and play option for beginners. It's also available to buy without this installed if you want to use your own and save some money. It's really easy to do and takes about 10 to 15 minutes to put in, and it's just a few screws. Other than that, BetaFPV haven't done anything else, and that is not a bad thing. I love how the O3 version flew, and my big worry was that they were going to upgrade this and ruin how it flies. So I am very happy that they're using the same Lava 1104 motors and the same AIO and frame design as the version before. This isn't a 2-inch cinewhoop, it's a 2.2-inch whoop. And that 0.2 of an inch makes a much bigger difference than people realize. Let's quickly take a look at the weight compared to the old one. This is the O3 version. And this is how much the O4 Pro version weighs. This is the O3 version with a 550 3S Lava battery. And this is the O4 Pro version with that same battery. And because BetaFPV stuck with the same frame design, you can just order or even 3D print a new canopy if you have the O3 version and want to upgrade to the O4 Pro. There might be an O4 Lite print for this as well, which could be interesting because it is lighter. But I haven't tried this, so I'm not going to give an opinion on it, but if you've done this, let me and everyone know how this flies in the comments. Because this is pretty much the same quad as before, the flight performance is very similar to the old version. It's smooth, it's fast, and it's fun. It still does have a bit of prop wash like all whoops do, although it could also be my flying, but it's really enjoyable to cruise around with. I took this up a mountain to capture the sunrise along with one of my 5-inch quads, and to my own surprise, I actually preferred shooting with the Pavo20 Pro that day. I didn't have a huge amount of space to fly around in because of the tree cover, but the Pavo worked really well. It was smaller, quieter, felt way less intrusive for the other people hiking up there that morning. And the footage was gorgeous thanks to the O4. And of course, I had to mess around a little bit while I was up there. Now, as nothing else has really changed on this quad, my initial thoughts about using this for freestyle hasn't changed either. If you've never tried freestyle and want to dip your toe in, it can freestyle. It has the power and responsiveness to let you fly this like a hooligan if you want to. But for me, it never feels quite as locked in as my other freestyle builds. The accuracy of where I want to put it takes a little bit more effort, and it just feels less predictable as to where it's about to go. If you're a beginner, you honestly won't even notice this, but I'm 100% sure that experienced pilots will feel the same way when comparing it to their other quads. As a good example, something simple like orbiting. I have to work much harder to try and keep this locked in and on track. So this isn't a hardcore freestyle quad, but if you don't have a freestyle quad with you, this is still a lot of fun to fling around. Something that plagues a lot of these 2-inch style Cinewhoops is durability. I've smashed this into the floor, iron sculptures, trees, and even mountainsides, and it's still intact. I haven't had to replace anything other than the props a few times. We'll get onto that in a minute, but there's just some scuffs on the canopy, but the O4 Pro camera has stayed completely protected. At one point when flying with a friend, we were bashing our quads so hard that the air unit in the Pavo20 Pro shifted inside the canopy, but it didn't disconnect. In fact, I hadn't even realized that this had happened until I finished flying and went to change the LiPo. In comparison, my friend's Flylens 85 took a similar hit and needed new parts, so yeah, the Pavo20 Pro can take a bit of a beating. But it's not all sunshines and rainbows. There are a few things that bug me. The Gemfan 2.2-inch props are very brittle. I've gone through way more of these than I thought I would, so definitely order spares, because you'll notice this as soon as a prop is damaged, you'll see vibration in the camera. If I could get hold of them here in Switzerland, I'd probably try the HQ 2.2-inch props. I seem to have a much better time with HQ props. They just seem to bend rather than break. Something else I've noticed is that the O4 antennas sometimes pop loose in crashes, which can block the props and stop you from taking off or flipping over. It's an easy fix with a bit of tape or a 3D print just to kind of fit them in there a little bit better, but it's still annoying when it happens because you don't realize everything else seems completely fine. I also lost one of the little battery pads in here. There's like 2 of them in there, which meant the battery was sitting on an angle, and then my rear props, you can even see where that's been kind of nicked there now, started to hit the LiPo as I went to take off. Again, this is a simple fix with another battery pad, but it's still pretty annoying when you're out there and you don't have a spare. The only thing about a whoop that's made of plastic is that you always feel like you have to protect it when transporting it, so I can't just throw it in my bag or suitcase with the props off like I would with one of my 5-inches. But then I have this issue with my tiny whoops too. For bad things, that's about it though, and for me, these are pretty minor complaints in comparison to some of the quads that I've flown. So do I think this is still the best DJI quad for a beginner? And honestly, today in 2025, that is a tough call, and just let me explain. Firstly, this isn't just a beginner quad. You'll enjoy flying this around even if you aren't a beginner. I take this with me everywhere. Secondly, when DJI released the O4 system, they launched the O4 Pro that's in this, but they also launched the O4 Lite. And there's been a number of quads made with this that are cheaper, lighter, and less powerful, so there are way more options for beginners than ever before. I do think that if you're a beginner looking for something that has the O4 Pro in it, then yes, there's no question, this is definitely it. But then if I compare this to, say, the Meteor 75 with an O4 for a beginner, even with the wobbly video and the less durability, that extra $100 saving will buy a lot of spare parts for you to repair it with. But maybe that's a whole other video that I can cover that question in, and maybe I can even get a beginner to help me out with that to test these out back to back and see which one they prefer. As a final thought from me, the Pavo20 Pro is the Swiss Army knife of FPV quads. It is so versatile, it can do many things well, from cinematic to freestyle to racing and cruising. It's just not really an expert in any of those areas, so if you're hyper focused on one of these, then there are definitely better options out there. If, like me, you aren't always sure where you'll be flying, what you'll be flying, and you just want to bring a quad with you just in case, but a tiny whoop might be too small, something without ducks and larger and noisier might attract too much negative attention, then this is a really good option. I tend to have this with me for that versatility, unless I'm absolutely sure that I'm going to be flying a specific quad in a specific style. But saying that, if you didn't see my other Pavo20 Pro video, I will leave that up here, and if you're fairly new to FPV, you might want to check out this video next. And now I'm just going to hang around on the screen awkwardly for a few seconds just so that you have time to click on one of these. See you in the next one.